welcome to the Ultimate Communication Toolkit. I can't believe we finished 2 other toolkits already. This is the 3rd one, first part, and it's a lot. To be honest, I was really struggling with how to break this toolkit down because freaking communication encompasses everything. So I think the best way to do this, we're gonna focus on effective communication today, and really just what does that mean? How do we define that? Talking about it, what are our challenges with that? And then the next 2 toolkits will be more specific to, the next 2 parts of our toolkit will be more specific to relationships and how to get our needs met and our expectations met and communicating clearly in relationships. So this is going to be a little broad and just honing in on what effective communication looks like. How do you guys feel about that?
Good. Yeah, good.
Okay, so I think the best way to do this, I'm going to ask you guys a shit ton of questions. And you're going to answer honestly, as always, I hope, fingers crossed. And we'll, there's really no right or wrong answer. So we'll just have a little curiosity session. Okay, without using a dictionary, how do you define communication?
We should know as communication major.
I was gonna say, I think I have an unfair advantage because I have my AA in that.
Okay,
so.
well, what's that?
Wait, yeah, I actually want to hear what you have to say.
No, I think you should go
Wait,
first. Yeah,
Okay.
because we're communication majors.
Oh, you guys, both of you guys?
Yeah.
Are? Oh shit. Biochemistry, I don't know. Okay, so for me, I think communication would be verbal, but also non-verbal, I guess behavior in a way.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, yeah. You guys go at it.
That's
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. So what I've learned, I have an AA. Got to my horn, just graduated. So communication is, like you said, verbal and non-verbal communication. But what is communication? It can be behavior. It can be to your clothes. It can be your body movement, anything like that we just interact with everybody every day. And it's pretty much how you interpret it, and it has to be at least with one more person in order for it to be called communication. And there's all these systems, but pretty much the basic one is right now, Destiny, she's listening to me, she's looking at me, and she's processing all that information to be able to give a thoughtful message afterwards. So yeah, there's all these other interruptions that cause miscommunication, or she looks away, not paying attention,
noise, the environment,
anything like that.
Yeah.
That's miscommunication. So
Yeah, perfect. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, she pretty much covered it, and you did too. It's all about nonverbal communication, verbal communication. It's just everything. You guys did good.
yeah.
Yeah. I would have kept it way more basic and kind of just said how you're communicating a message and is your message being received. So that's communication. How do we have a different definition for effective communication?
Again, I think I have an unfair advantage.
Well, shoot, just share the knowledge.
Okay, so effective communication, right?
Yeah.
So effective communication is about eye contact, whether you're listening, but there's a difference between listening and effectively listening. Listening is just it goes in, it comes out slowly, but effective listening is looking at Michelle, looking at whoever I'm trying to talk to, and being able to pause and then give your clear message.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think for me, I guess effective is knowing that the message is being received how I want it to be received. So a quick story that I always laugh that reminded me how poor my communication can be. I was coaching soccer and they were little 5-year-olds. Hilarious. And so we're playing this game and it's called Shazam, and the instructions were, and there's different color pennies around the circle, and you dribble the soccer ball, and then when I say Shazam, you run to a color. And so I say Shazam, red, and there's one red penny way, way, way off the field. the one little kid sees that red penny, even though there's a whole bunch in the circle, and runs to that one. And so it was like, I didn't have effective communication because I didn't like set the boundaries or set like, I wasn't clear, you know, for a 5-year-old. So that had been my like, you know, just like modeled for me like, oh shoot, I like did not communicate very, and it was just funny and like, but it kind of made me realize how to simplify a lot of things just because we don't know where people are coming from or, you know, any of those kind of things. So anyway, so thank you. Okay, so having said that, I learned that I could improve my communication skills. So for you guys though, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being poor and 10 being excellent, how would you rate yourself as a communicator? Be honest. Honest self-awareness.
Honest as a communication major.
Yeah.
7.
7?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
fall short.
I think even though I'm a communication major, I'm not very good at communicating. Like honestly, like even if it's phone, I still am terrible at getting back to you because I forget and I do this thing and I do that and then I'm like on my phone on this app, I'm on TikTok and I'm like, oh shoot, I have a notification saying that, you know, somebody texted me. So I think I'm a 7 because I also think I do sometimes good, but most of the time I'm like, I'm alright. I'm a little rusty.
Okay, that's fair. What would you like to do better?
Being able to reply faster, being able to get my message across without having anybody to like question or need further explaining. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
I'm like an 8.
Okay.
And the funny thing
She
is,
up
like,
there.
She up there.
yeah, because it's like, I don't know, growing up in a household where it's like there wasn't much like effective communication. It's just like I wanted to like be a better communicator, you know? Wanted to like express my feelings the right way because like I was like really quiet. I'm still really quiet and shy now, you know?
Yeah.
As a kid, and it's like I didn't know how to express myself and how I was feeling. And until this day, my mom's like, aren't you a communication major? Like, shouldn't you know how to talk to all these different people? And she just pulls out that wild card every time. I'm just like, I'm still an introvert.
Not perfect. I'm a human.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And but also like that, you can have skills, but we can't control how people are going to interpret our message. So you could be effective, but or it could be you could be a good communicator, but maybe the other person isn't. You know, and like if you're not hearing, you know, the effective listening and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to work. Okay, so an 8. What do you think?
I feel like on good days,
Yeah, that's kind of where I
you know,
would be.
because I feel like sometimes I can be like, I'm good and I'm like, wow, like I said that. And then other times it's like, I don't know. I think a lot has to do with my feelings. And like, I can relate to you 100% because again, I didn't grow up in a household that had effective communication. So that's also like one of my motives. Like I want to be able to be that person. But then it gets really hard because I didn't have that exposure. So it's like I'm kind of trying to teach myself, but it's hard. So
Yeah.
maybe like I would say like a 6.5.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I know you bring up like points like when you said like on a good day and a bad day. I feel like I do that. And like sometimes like I feel like I over communicate and it's like texting and then emailing and messaging and then calling them and saying, okay, did you hear me? What did I say? What did you hear me? You know? And then I panic that I'm being like a control freak and then I step back and then I like go to the other extreme. Like I would like to probably find like the happy balance of just being consistent all the time. Is there anything I didn't ask you to? Is there anything you guys would like to do better communicating? Because you said responding.
Not overly communicate, like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I realize that my brain works differently than others.
Yeah.
And I'm the person to be like, step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah.
And others are like, what the fuck are you
Yeah,
talking about?
Literally.
You know? Like I'm like, okay, you know, I gotta change my ways.
Yeah.
But I like what Destiny said, like, but I just want to say, like, we've never had someone model what is effective communication. So that's why we're here. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it can only get better. Bringing our 7s to a 10.
Yeah.
Was there something you wanted to work on, Destiny?
I guess it's kind of like what you guys are saying. I feel like I say too much when I could be saying a lot less. But then I put other factors into it because I think it's relevant when it probably isn't.
Yeah.
And like it's pretty much like feeling driven. Like I'll add all these
Yeah,
other things.
like why you're saying
yeah,
what you're saying.
and it's like that
and it
shouldn't
makes
even
it more
matter. Yeah.
confusing. Yeah, totally do it all the time too. Okay, is there anything that bugs you when it comes to communication? Like, does anybody have a communication pet peeve?
About ourselves or about others?
I guess it could be both.
Okay, about myself, like I just said, how my brain works. So how I think of is like steps, or like which message is more effective. And my hubby is the opposite. So we usually clash when it comes like to the simplest thing as like driving instructions. I think of one way, and he went the other way. And I'm like,
Yeah.
went to this store, and then it was across the food place, and then we could have parked there. He's like, oh. I'm like, that doesn't bother you that, you didn't think of that? He's like,
nope.
no. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I think for me, my own pet peeve is being overly organized and more effective.
Yeah. Well, then it sounded like too, did you assume he was going to do it the way
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
assuming, like always assuming that he thought of it first.
his brain matches
Yeah,
you?
and I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So I was
Okay.
like, oh, I didn't say it, So I
Yeah.
think it's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else chime in on pet peeves?
Like besides no communication, is that like
that could be.
like when people just don't fucking communicate,
Yeah.
and it's just like hello.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super annoying.
That's
Like friends, who are you referencing when that happens?
just like anybody when it comes to anything.
Yeah.
Like specifically like recently at my job, like we don't have a manager,
Yeah.
and like this other lady's supposed to be in charge of us or whatever. So if we have problems, like we're supposed to talk to her. And there was one night where I actually needed somebody for once, and then she wasn't replying, and then later like she's like, oh well, like from 7 to 8 I'm not available because of her kids. And it's like, well, maybe you should fucking say that
Yeah.
so I can figure out like
backup plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was really upset because I was working by myself, and
Yeah.
we were like at an urgent care and there's so much going on. I got through it.
Yeah. Of course you did. Yeah. Okay. Any pet peeves? Mine is freaking hate when people like text instead of picking up the phone. Like when they leave these long open-ended questions, like, hey, how are you? Fucking call me if you want to know how I'm doing, and I will talk to you. Do not leave. And like that could be partly like my problem, because it's like, do I want to be polite? Do I want to tell them how I'm doing? Do I really care? And so then I go through all this, like, how do I want to communicate? And then I like give a thumbs up because I'm like, don't, yeah, or I'll find like a meme. So that's like definitely my pet peeve is like when I feel that you're using the wrong form, the wrong method to communicate, where it's like, no, like there's a time to email, there's a time to text, there's a time to call me, there's a time to FaceTime, there's a time to, I never DM anybody actually on social media stuff, but whatever.
Yeah, because it's important for that person to be able to interpret your message. Because if it's just over like text message, it's just like they don't really know how you really feel about whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to interpret the text message itself, and it's
Yeah.
Like break it down.
Yeah.
Like why they use that emoji.
Yeah. Yeah. Emojis throw a definitely kink in things. We're gonna get to that in one of my questions before we jump ahead.
Sorry, that was great.
We're going to, so then another question. How does your communication, or how does our communication change when we're speaking with, say, like a family member versus a friend versus a teacher versus a coworker versus a partner? Or does it?
you get so fake with all these different people. Like with a professional, obviously you put on like your best suit and you're just like pretending like you're the best, most effective communicator. With your parents, it's like, for me, I kind of like shut them out. And then with my friends, I'm just like trying to adapt to their personality and like, how do I communicate with this person?
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have thoughts?
I think sometimes it could be hard because you don't know what to expect from that person. So for me, there's so many times where I miscommunicate, especially with like family, because I am terrible at Spanish. Like I think it's going great in my head. And then my family would be like, what did you
say?
And I'm like,
Making up your
okay,
own
never
words.
mind. Yeah, literally Spanglish all the way, pretty much. But I think there's these different groups where you can miscommunicate and love like friends, like the emoji part. Like my friend, my friend, she uses these emojis when I'm like, it should be like a serious emoji, and she uses like the opposite. I'm like, oh, okay, now I need to like pretty much decipher what that meant.
Yeah.
Like, did she mean it or not?
The one that caused a lot of controversy in like older age groups was the streaming tears. Like some people use it as like laughing, and some people were using it as crying. Yeah, and so somebody I know got super offended because she sent like a message that was like needed a crying one, and the woman sent the crying, but she interpreted it as like laughing, and so it was like this whole like she was so pissed, and like I'm like, girl, call her and ask her. You know, I doubt she meant it that way. You know, but like she was taking that as so like offensive and I'm like, it's a fucking emoji. Like, you need to like get past that or whatever. But yeah, so that can be challenging. And like so if you're especially using emojis in these different like with your family, your friends, teachers.
I ask, I'm like, what did you mean?
Yeah.
If I'm really lost, or like sometimes when they use like acronyms or like whatever, like I don't know, some like weird, what are they called? Abbreviations. I'm like, what do you mean? Especially now
like
with
etc., like ETC and everything.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like now, I forgot the new one, but yeah.
Okay.
I asked.
Yeah. What do you think? We communicate differently depending on.
Yeah. Like I agree with what you guys said, and like with family, I kind of dismiss it. Like if I'm like, if you don't understand what I'm saying, like whatever. Like I kind of just like, like whatever. And I feel like I try more with like my friends or like people I actually want to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like
like I guess there's more like with family, there's like no filter. Like whatever comes out of my mouth is coming out of my mouth. With a friend, depends on the friend or how long, but like there's a little bit of a filter, I guess, but it is on us. But then like I feel like though that conversation like has gotten like a lot more casual. Like that even in a professional setting, like I mean, or maybe it's just me and I'm at the age that I'm not professional. I don't know. But I just feel like I don't like for 80% of the time I'm like this, you know, with whoever I'm talking to. So, but I don't know if that's like good or bad or anything, but I just feel like I haven't had to really adapt too much in the communication. Like I probably could be better with my family. Like it'd probably be better if I added a filter. All right, so a couple more. How do we find, or how is online communication different from face-to-face communication?
It's hard. I don't know if they're actually laughing in bed or not, you know?
Yeah.
Like when they say laughing my ass off, like, are you actually laughing?
Are you
or
really?
are you
Send me a
just
picture.
like, you know? Like, I think that, because like, I don't really know how they feel, or like the emoji part, like I'm just like, what the heck? Or like these new like terms, like, I figured it out. When people say like chuggy, I didn't know what the fuck that meant.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Chuggy?
Yeah.
What is that? Wait, I heard it in a TikTok, I think.
I'm like,
Oh, I'm terrible.
It's like
at
Spanish, right? Something
Oh.
to do with Spanish?
Oh, I don't
Or
know,
no?
probably. But chuggy, from what I understood in TikTok
maybe it's
videos,
not.
it means like that's old, that's like late. It's out of fashion.
Probably everyone says that to me.
So I'm like, the reason I want to understand is try to connect to my little sister, because that's more of like what she's like going to be going into. So I'm like, what does this mean? Or like when she's playing with her friends online, I'm like, what are you talking about? Or like, what is this game? Like, I'm just so old compared to her. And I don't know, it's just hard. But when it comes to communication, like, I'll ask her, I'll be like, what does this mean? And she's like, how do you not know?
Yeah.
So I think it's like trying to see how they really feel and like the expectations they assume when it comes to like texting.
Yeah. So then, like, so the online stuff creates like trends quicker or something,
Yeah.
or like.
I think when it trends quicker, it's like, did I get it or not?
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Okay.
Did you see that video? Did you see that TikTok?
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, and then it's almost like lessening a need for communication because we're just sharing
Yeah.
memes and videos or like to express ourselves. Huh, interesting. Do you guys have any thoughts on, or I guess even too adding to like, is there positive and negative, like what are the positive and negatives with online
For
communication?
me, at least, it's easier for me to explain myself online
Oh,
because
really?
I'm like, all my thoughts are written.
Yeah.
Like I'm way better as like a writer than like
Ah,
an effective like
Yeah.
verbal communicator.
Yeah.
You know, I think the negative side of like communicating online is there's no verbal cues that
Yeah.
you read. It's all non-verbal and it's
Yeah.
like text that you have to interpret. So
yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah. What do you think?
I feel like online, or wait, let me phrase this different. Like in person, I think people take the time to actually, well, not everybody, but most people take the time to think about what they're gonna say before they say something, given because the person's right in front of them. And I think online, like they kind of just don't care, so they say whatever they want, which I think like the con leads to that like cyberbullying and
Yeah.
everything that goes on that aspect. But then the positive is like for people like Sam who can't really communicate verbally,
Yeah.
and it's better to communicate online.
Yeah.
So it has like it's both.
Yeah, I definitely think it has like pros and cons, and I guess like, because I mean, with technology, like, yeah, I can talk to my sisters or across the country, you know, like those kind of things. But also then the downside is like, well, for me, that just always being available to somebody. Like somebody can hit you up
Yeah.
all the time, and it's like, depending on how you are or whatever, you know, it's like, do I have to respond? Can I let it go? Can I ignore it? Can I like wait till the morning? What if I call them and they don't answer? You know, it's like, it's overwhelming, I guess.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, we're always available then, you know? And I mean, I guess we could talk about this more in other videos about like setting those boundaries. And even here, like my last question is how do we decide on the best ways to communicate? How do you know, like, if you're going to text somebody or call somebody or FaceTime or comment on a post or meeting face to face? Do you guys have any like strategies for that?
I think for me it's very, again, like organizational wise. So with one of my old school friends, she literally told me, it's okay, you don't have to like say hi, like greet. And if we leave off on our last message, it's okay to pick it up like a day later, a week later, a month later, a year later. She's like, I don't really mind. She's like, I don't really mind. It's nothing personal. I'm not gonna take it personal.
Yeah.
Versus where other people, it's like, yeah, can you reply to me within like the day or something?
Yeah.
Or even if it's like professional, it's like obviously like within those time frames that you're working.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on like the person or group
Yeah.
that they're like expecting that answer. So,
Yeah. So you figure it out with the other person.
yeah, that's how I've done it, and it's worked out.
Yeah. Is it rude to have cell phones out when you're talking with people? Like how my cell phone just went off.
I think it depends on your age and like
Who you're with.
who you're with.
What your job is.
Yeah, like obviously, like my grandma thinks it's rude.
Mhm.
Like she's like, no, you should be paying attention to your family. Like don't put your phone on the table when you're eating. Versus like my mom, she's like at the point where she doesn't care. You know, she's like, oh well.
Yeah.
I think it's rude. Like if I'm hanging out with someone, you know, but then I get it. It's like we have those interval breaks of like, all right, let me go through my phone real quick and like check my messages.
Yeah.
But I prefer not.
Yeah. I know, because to me, I feel like then it's like it's not important. Like if I'm sitting here and you guys are all talking, like I'm not present in the discussion or whatever.
Yeah.
How would you guys, like in your order of communication methods, you know, like talking about texting or direct messaging or phone calls or face-to-face in person, how would you guys, what order would you, what am I trying to say? Like how often do you use each of those things? Or like what's your most common method that you prefer to be using?
Text.
You text like 99% of the time, is it? With everybody?
Yeah, I think so. Cause like how you were saying, like how do you know which one to use?
Mhm.
Like if it can be texted, like I'ma just text. Cause well, one, I honestly don't have that much time to just be talking on the phone. So like I'll make time here and there, but that's like, cause I used to do that when I was in high school. I don't know about you guys, but like I'd stay up late and I'm on the phone with my friends or like my boo or whatever. And then it's like, because I had the time, like I enjoy doing that, like the whole FaceTime calls. And now it's like, okay, no, like I have stuff to do. Like text me, whatever. I'll get back to you whenever I can. And like what she was talking about the whole, I had to like communicate to people that I get, like before we used to text every single day because I was able to and I had nothing else to do again. But now it's like, don't get upset if I don't reply right away, or like it takes me a while because like I'm an adult now. So
adulting.
Adults. Yeah. So,
yeah. Okay.
I feel like I'm the opposite because like I'm really busy with my like classwork and like all of that stuff. So it's just like I just want to get away from like typing and all that. It's just like I feel like I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
You know, I need that like communication.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's kind of where like I don't know. With COVID, that's when I was like, I just wanted to be talking to people, and like I always used to think that I communicated better in writing, but I do think it was missing like the body language piece, and so there was still like nuances that weren't being picked up, and so like for me, I want to meet in person in like real life, and then it would be on the phone. And like texting, I don't have tolerance for it. I'm just like, stop, like pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah.
sorry, Michelle.
I know. So anyway, okay, let's do, I have one little fun, hopefully it's fun, little communication drawing activity. So grab a paper, don't burn anything. These are the rules or whatever. You are going to keep your eyes on your own paper. No cheating. No questions can be asked.
I asked a lot of
I know,
questions.
no questions. No questions. No talking during this activity. I will only read each direction one time. I know. I can't wait to see how this turns
torture.
out. So no repeats, and then do what instructions ask of you to the best of your ability. No judgments, basically. Okay. So again, can only read it once. The listening ears on.
God.
1. Place the paper lengthwise on a flat surface. No cheating.
Wait.
Yeah. 2. At the bottom of the sheet, draw 2 small squares approximately 3 inches apart. Inside each square, across the bottom, draw a series of half circles. I'm just going to keep moving on.
I really
4.
want to keep asking questions.
Yeah. Draw a large rectangle on top of and connecting both squares. Okay, 5. On top of the upper right corner of the rectangle, draw a circle whose diameter is the height of the rectangle. We're all doing our best. We're all doing our best.
Oh God, we're gonna look so stupid.
Okay, now I'm on 6. If the circle were the face of a clock, draw a large S starting at the 5 o'clock position in the circle and extending outside the circle. Oh, that looks pretty nice.
Thanks.
All right, number 7. Draw another S parallel to it, about 1/8 inch from the first. Eight is draw another circle in the upper left corner of the first circle, half in the first circle and half out. 9. Starting at the upper left corner of the rectangle, draw another S outside the rectangle. 10 is just above the two parallel S, draw 2 ovals, one inside the other, the inner one in the lower half of the outer one.
What?
I'm gonna just take a guess. It's not like. Oh God, I don't know.
Okay, so let's share your drawings.
done?
See what
Is
you
this
guys
supposed
come
to
up
be
with.
an animal?
So
I feel
this is what your drawing should look like.
That was nowhere near it.
What the heck?
So let's
Where's the
talk
ovals?
about.
Oh, the eyes.
eyes.
Wait, can I see it again?
Oh God.
Okay.
You guys are kind of close.
God.
I was confusing myself when I was reading the instructions. So, what are observations? What did we learn?
I had a lot of questions.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
I had
Yeah.
a lot of questions about like if the S was like reflected or not. I just me overthinking, honestly.
Mhm.
Like and then the ovals, like what was the size? You know?
Yeah.
Do you want me
Okay.
to like make it very
yeah. So
noticeable?
questions. We needed like
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah,
Clarity.
clarity.
Okay. Anything else?
If like I definitely needed to like I needed to hear you repeat it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can't even ask that. So
It was really hard for me not to repeat it. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to say it like
Uh-huh.
2 or 3 times because I was just like I wouldn't know. Like I was confusing myself when I was reading it.
Yeah.
What's in front of me. Okay. Anything else?
maybe slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the questions for me. Like, what do you mean? Like series
Yeah.
of when you said series of semi whatever half circles, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know, like what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and so like I think this exercise is funny and like you guys were trying your best and like really listening. But like it's still our communication can get muffled. And when we think about like effective communication, you know, it is being able to ask clarifying questions. I'm hearing you say this. Is that what you mean? Can you repeat it one more time so I can clearly understand? I would need to like see it too, like
was gonna
somebody
say,
drawing with
yeah,
it.
true.
So there might be more of that like body language kind of demonstration stuff. Yeah, and like saying it slower for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else I'm missing for effective communication?
it's hard not being able to ask anyone else for help.
Yeah.
Or even look at them.
Yeah.
To see if they're
Like,
confused too.
yeah.
Just to like reassure
Yeah, so
myself.
it does like tie into like even like self like am I doing this right?
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. What's happening all over?
I was
living
like,
room?
dang. I
Yeah.
can't even look up.
Yeah.
No, because then I saw. Okay, so she's over here because I'm drawing something, right? So my peripheral vision, I can see itself, and she's like over here measuring it. I'm like, wait, are we like?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
that is
doing
a good like being able to trust our process and whatever too.
Yeah.
You know.
It's going on.
So yeah, so this I feel like is a good summary of like effective communication and how, you know, so for our next 2 videos we'll try to apply effective communication better into our relationships, And I think in our relationships, I think it's really hard to communicate your needs and like expectations and resolve conflict. So we'll move on to that. But before we wrap things up too, I always have challenges for our audience here. So because it's just general communication stuff, the first challenge is going to just simply observe how you communicate. And that's like for all of us. What is our body language like? You know, do I roll my eyes a lot? I cross my arms. You know, when multitasking, like, are you texting with somebody but watching TV and not giving, or it's not really listening? Like, just pay attention to what you do. That's just basic, you know, kind of observe how you communicate. Then level 2 is call someone instead of messaging them. I threw that in there because I'm a caller. But it could be
She's
anything.
subbing me out.
Call your grandma, on your drive. When you're driving, like hands-free, you know, put it on speaker, whatever. But call someone, challenge yourself to call someone instead of like messaging them. And then the last one I think is the most fun, but we want you to make an honest comment on one of our videos. So watch our videos and
Don't be too mean though.
yeah, only nice comments, but yeah, so that's what we got. So thank you for participating.
Thank you guys for watching. We hope you guys learned a lot, and just know that, you know, nobody has ever modeled communication, especially effective communication. So if you want to keep watching our series, definitely do it. Go ahead and ask us any questions. We're more than happy to help. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.